Hello, everyone, and thank you again for making this time. Everybody, I hope, is staying at home with social distancing, which is required right now to keep coronavirus at bay and try to contain this pandemic. The last time I promised that I will be speaking about the structure of the Canadian healthcare system. And something happened. A friend of mine really got me thinking because he mentioned that although you're talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo, but these issues that you're talking about, they're really common to most African countries, if not all African countries. And this friend of mine is from South Africa, so I'm going to listen to him and change the frame of my presentations in the context of the whole Africa. But you will see that a lot of examples that I'll be giving moving forward, it'll be specific to the Democratic Republic of Congo. From what I understand, these can be applied in a broader sense to the whole Africa or most countries in Africa. So I prepared a some slides to share the structure of the Canadian healthcare system, and this is what it is. So, the Canadian healthcare system is really based upon two pillars, and you can see them one on the right, the other one on the left. And these pillars are represented by different levels of government, as you can see on the right, the federal government, and on the left, the provincial, municipal, and territorial government. The other thing that you will notice is that there are two roles that these pillars are assigned to. The first one is the role in healthcare itself. I'll explain the new ones. And there is another role in pharmaceuticals. Now, the roles that are played by the government, you can see that the federal government is setting national principles and healthcare for healthcare, and they assist in healthcare funding for the provinces and territorial governments or municipal governments, which means that, as you can see here, the other level or the other levels of government have the heavier share in managing and delivering healthcare. The funding going up to 80 to 85% of the whole pie, which is very considerable. The other things that the governments do, and this is from the federal side, the federal government levels, you can see market authorization, price reviews, and intellectual property regimes. These are very important to be able to connect the whole thing. And at the same time, you see on the right side, the public reimbursement and the pricing controls in the public sector. And the public sector here is just because the healthcare industry or healthcare system in Canada is funded by the government mostly. But that being said, you can see that in the middle, the thing that holds everything together is the commercial environment. It is very crucial to get this point. And I think this is the point where most of our governments or most systems in Africa are not really good at. How does healthcare systems become a contributor in the economy of a country? That is the major question. And that is really to say that you may say it is healthcare is free in Canada. It's not free. There is nothing for free. Let me repeat that. There is nothing that is for free under these systems. You can just dress it the way you want, but there is nothing for free. There is a price to pay, especially when you have a world-class
health system like the one that we have in Canada. Of course, this creates an environment from which everything has to be managed. And I will explain in the next modules what these bodies, government bodies, and some of them are there for, and what role they play in making sure that this machine works perfectly. Everything is connected within this. This, you can say, is the foundation upon which these pillars are sitting. That being said, what can we learn from this? The biggest takeaways are threefold. And in my opinion, you can see that in the Canadian healthcare system, there is a well-defined role of the different levels of government. And that is very important. The national government, the federal government, cannot do everything. And the second thing is that lower levels of government have more responsibilities in the healthcare service. And the problem in Africa is that when you can see here that 80 to 85% of funding in healthcare is managed by lower levels of government, whereas in Africa, federal government wants to control funding. It's a funding issue. And of course, when you put yourself in that kind of situation, you fail to build local capacity to be able to manage and to deliver world-class healthcare systems. Everybody that matters then lives in the capital city, whereas the majority of the population lives in provinces. And now, the third thing is the commercial aspect is the glue that holds the whole system. And this is really to emphasize the fact that we cannot have a healthcare system that is relying exclusively on foreign aid. I'm refraining to even speak of other systems, and I will just stick to the healthcare system, the healthcare environment, which is my domain. But it is really very crucial. Foreign aid does not build the healthcare system that we need to protect our populations, our people against the next big thing that is coming. And the disclaimer is that all the information that I'm presenting here is just my opinion and does not engage any organization that I'm currently working for or consulting with.
And I hope you were able to get something out of this presentation that you can share with your local authorities and friends as to what we can expect really from our government to make sure that we are prepared